Okay, I'm back. So, yeah, this my personal understanding of or dealing with deprogramming. So, I'm really happy that other people have thanked me for the work I've done, just come out like a lion on the warpath, or a big barrel roll of truth down the, avenue of life, despite anything. It didn't matter to me because I'd already, it seemed like, surmounted everything in the adult world, having become an entrepreneur. So it doesn't mean I'm rich or anything. I had to earn every single dollar, but I did it. And then, it doesn't mean that anything has been surmounted in terms of me feeling secure, because when you're deprogramming from the cult, I think that's the currency of your uh, deprogramming is is fear, or the not the currency, but the blocks. It's always fear, and for me, it's like doom, like a whole lot of depression. That was part of my mom's persona, but it's also in me in a DNA way, but also in a programmed way as well. So being able, having to separate this from myself, my character, my mom, my dad, my sister, my brother, it's really quite a task, and it's something that I never thought I would be able to do, because there was no context for it in any setting. I mean, there might have been in certain deprogramming or therapeutic environments that I wasn't aware of, and I didn't want to, spend eons wading through that field, simply because it was the field that had captured my parents, my whole family. Now, this is years later, and I'm able to correct things. I'm able to do the workarounds now, to go back and do what I should have done a long time ago. Right? But I was a child. Let's get that right. I was a child. I was a baby in most of the kids' situations, and then grew up as a child. And, um, but still, like, really had a lot of control. Hello, shalom there, self-contented. Hello, nice to see you. I love these live streams because, for one thing, I don't have to do any work afterwards. You can edit them, but I don't want to do that. I have taken a break, not a break, but I have stepped back from the public face for a while because of just the time for retreat, and um, yeah. Anyway, I thought, okay, time to do one now. I think once a month with the list. I'll be more on that. The mklgirl.org is down for now. I'm going to take all those articles that I've written since May 2018 and put them in a book, and also other publishing avenues, venues. mklgirl.org, and most of the media that I control right now will be focused on promoting the documentary that's coming out this year, that I'm producing with an acclaimed independent director. So that's great, because that's been 5 years coming. But I guess really only two, since I started talking about it on YouTube, and now it's manifesting. So, before I realized that I was so in it, I did the manifestation thing, and I was doing it. I knew that I had the workarounds, and I had to really step lightly with whatever barriers I had up against me all the time, which is why I've been self-isolating for 20 years. But I could still do it. And getting out of my apartment in 2006, and that rat race of having to pay rent, pay bills, and debts and all that, and going bankrupt in 2007 liberated me. And having the experience of not needing a home because I was in recreational vehicles, vans, blah, 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 to, drive around, go from here to there, that would be both exploratory, documentary style, documenting the raw food and the health food movements that I started out in, and um, and taking care of the living part, not worrying about it. So that lifted a huge burden off me and gave me many skills. That's what it did, the skills. So I'm happy to have those skills, but I need to exercise them. And that's what I wasn't doing because I took a break. But now I'm not, I'm back in it. So everything's back full speed. Not full speed, but back into that I'm fully open for business for aerial photography. Fine art is back of any type of photography, but I'm an aerial art photographer, but I do portraits. But right now I'm doing puppies because I've got a new puppy. You may know that when I came home from my trip to Montreal and Toronto and Ontario, I didn't go to Toronto, I drove by it. Ontario was London, Windsor, and Montreal. Saint Jean sur Richelieu also were my stops. And when I came home from there, I had lost my cat, Boomer. Now, Boomer wasn't a regular cat. Yeah, the puppy's beautiful. She's great. So she's helped me with lifting my spirits, because when I go into the doom, it's really bad. Now, I've been doing a lot of the mirroring because true, they're expensive. This is part of the negotiations that I have with the new enterprise boots to ground thing that I'm doing, because I've placed myself in this situation, which is now I'm going to get into food security, which is more than any it's the best thing to get into as a human, trying to help humanity for the higher and the common good. My puppy's name is Mufti. Okay, her name is Mufti, and that's like it's, I think it's a Muslim cleric is what it is, but I call her Mufti because it's such a cute name, and she's really sweet. She's she's a shepherd. Anatolian Shepherd Marama cross. So we're talking about a herding dog. And that's what's coming up next, which is, the food security that I'll actually be involved in. I can't be lazy. I mean, I don't have huge amounts of energy, but when I do, I want to apply it. I used to, despite all the blocks in my physical body, but it's getting worse for that. And for me, but I can do things about 4 hours a day working, but without seizing up and getting into what seems like an autoimmune disease reaction. But I still can do about 4 hours a day of good work like that. And I want to do it so that it's, meaningful. Right now, I've been just helping someone else for free, which is, it's, not been beneficial to me. And I want that to stop, because I want it to be more of a, something that works for the benefit of myself and everyone else, rather than like, oh, I just want to put myself to use, right? Like putting all these people that really have excellent skills, like off the, oh, you're not part of the economy, or you can't make money from that, which is crap. I mean, any type of effort can be rewarded. I mean, that's what business is. I mean, they're invoicing right, left, and center. The act of invoicing is an effort, So, I mean, that's what they do with big companies. They'll charge you for billing you. So it all boils down to business sense, but getting in there. And I understand that not wanting to be part of it is correct energy exchange. And not wanting to be part of it is an act of rebellion against what you hate, but it doesn't really work like that. If you're not part of life, then you're going to be stuck on the sidelines and feeling frustrated. I mean, that's natural for all targets, and people like me that were like really grew up like right next to the dark Illuminati, basically, in Canada, without even knowing it, but certainly feeling it and experiencing, multiple negative consequences of it. The parts I do remember. Okay, so the parts I don't remember, but anyway, it is coming through, and I do get just like it's like it's getting closer, and steps are getting made between the things, between these, what I know is true that I can get triggered or hinted at by reading other people. Now I'm going to go into the difference between reading other people's testimonies and then copying them yourself. There's different layers of that, because reading other people's testimonies does resonate with me and with other people, survivors. However, just taking those testimonies and then saying that that's what happened because that one person had that testimony doesn't mean it happened to you. Because one thing I've learned from all these survivor testimonies is that there's a huge array of differences. There's compartmentalization, but there is really no one central. I mean, there is in an esoteric sense. We're not going to get into that right now because most people don't even know what that is in the calls. But you can imagine, it's the dark and the light, but the esoteric reality to those is as skewed and obscured as you can get, for obvious reasons. Because if we could untangle it, this whole thing would be over, right? But we're getting there because we're forced to get there because of the times and people like me coming forward and saying, calling the game, enough is enough. You want to come after me? Do it. I'm tough. I can handle a lot of this. I've done it my whole life, so why not now, publicly? I'm willing to take responsibility and help people, but also humanity, and also personally. So I will do that. So if anyone wants to vote for me as the next Prime Minister of Canada, do it. So we're not there yet, but who knows? Because the formula for manifestation, as I was talking about earlier, is basically you imagine your outcome, your desired outcome, and then you kind of, hit an air balloon or set up an air balloon towards that, and you just leave it and you let it go. You know that you're going to get it. And that's basically it. So you keep your eye on the target, you don't get distracted. And most people get distracted by what? Well, it's always sensual things, right? It's like eating. Who provides the food? Oh, and then they're going to have needs, and you start serving their needs, or you're maybe one of the people that is on the other side of that. Like it's all, that's what life gets in the way. And of course, love is one of those things too. So, and we forget what the original goal was. Sometimes the goal needs to be adjusted because it wasn't actually the right time or the right sequence, or maybe it was the wrong goal altogether. So all these balls in the air have to be, played, managed while you're doing the manifesting. But for me, okay, so buffering. Thank you for letting me know. Self-contented. It could mean that they just don't want me to say anything. I get cut off a lot. Anyway, I don't know. Is it? Am I on? Can you hear me now? hear me now. No, I don't know. So let's just jump to the court case. As many of you know, I'm involved in probably the most predominant, obvious, famous case of MK Ultra versus the Canadian American governments in the world. So this is the Montreal experiments case. Now, not only am I MK Ultra girl, and my family was ruined by tragedy. My brother and sister's lives were, and mine was just borderline. I, I, my mother and father were also patients of this Dr. Ewan Cameron at Montreal Experiments, the hospital and the Allen Memorial in Montreal. So, okay, great, thanks. Thanks for letting me know. Self-contained. And so then anyway, they were both patients. Now, if anyone thinks that's a coincidence, you got to be out of your mind. But out of your mind is a common symptom of people in the program, and everyone now is in it, because common sense is just so lacking, or any sense, because part of the programming is to not know who to trust, including yourself. And this is all covered in the deprogramming books by people like Spally. Everyone's different. That's another thing, okay? It's not like, oh, what she said, it applies to me, and therefore I got to do what she or he did. No, not a bit. I've never looked at things that way, because I've always had my own way and always had my own connection to truth. And for me, what that is literally the messages from above, the gods, the God, right? The whatever it is, like that. I know when I get the feeling that I know the most, it's actually in my lucid dreams. So I don't question that. I mean, I do, because they're pretty cryptic sometimes. I mean, most of the time but there's still a lot of messages in them. So that's been my salvation, actually, because I'm aware of it and the spirit, and I've given that the most credence. So the most high. So in that sense, I have already aligned myself with the higher good in unknowingness, as a workaround to all the satanic programming. And get this, my family were Catholics. They tried to raise me a Catholic, and yeah, right. They tried to raise me a Catholic, and because I noticed all the hypocrisy, my father was not like a good person. And now I know he was really demonically infested. I'll get back to that a bit later. And yes, it does involve Joseph Mengele. And yeah, correct. And then, me, 5 years old, I'm like, this is hypocrisy. This isn't God. And I think most kids want to know God. And I did. And I didn't know where to find him. I'm like, where's God? And I was like looking in mud puddles, really, for God. And I decided that the cloud of dirt that swirled up when you stuck a stick in a mud puddle was God. That was good enough for me, because I needed something. And then I had to ask my mother what was the word for a person who didn't believe in God, because I needed to cut the BS that my dad was trying to sell me. And that was an atheist. I became one, and that sealed me from his BS, plus whatever the Catholic Church would have done, because I was a conscious apostate. if that's even the right word, atheist at that point. But then I didn't understand that there was actually programming as well to make me feel like a literal heretic, like, in Satan's army. And I guess that's part of it, but I didn't know that. I do remember once questioning that feeling coming over me in church that I never liked to go to, but that was because I was an atheist. So, but I questioned the strong feeling of like feeling like a heretic, and I knew that that didn't apply to me, but it did because of the programming. There's other clues as well. I remember walking to church one day with my dad when my mom was in the hospital after, one of the times that they took her away. I think that was after she tried to commit suicide, and she was gone for about a year and reprogrammed at North Bay and Cam H, which was the Clark back then. So a lot of people know my story, and a lot of people know, of course, the doctors know. One of the doctors is still alive. I'd like to talk to her, actually, Marmorio. If you get this message, I do want to talk to you. I need answers. So this is part of it. And then her business partner works with Trudeau right now. She's an elected official. So it's really close to, and everybody that I grew up with had something to do with that. But because I was supposed to, but because my dad was such a whack job, and then the whole, like, we were like just smack dab in the middle of the programming, that we went haywire. Our family just went haywire with that whole program. And I took exit stage left when I was 15. But but I still wanted to know God. It's so funny. So I came back around a few times through born again programs in the outer world, but they never stuck. And then I just went through the new age and all that, which is still, being directed by whatever hands can maintain control in the call, like in the media, which is still highly controlled by the calls. And yet, one asks, well, how did you do it? Why aren't you dead? How are they letting you? Well, because I'm a badasseter, and so are you. And I've been trying to get people to take up that sword for a long time, but nobody felt the need to do it until now, until 2020. So good, that's great. Like a lot of people, truthers, people like me, activism, fighting the good fight, are like, ha, 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 told you so now. I mean, Agenda 21 we were warning about that 15 years ago. Okay, I was part of all the health activism worlds that there are any to be in North America. I know a lot of those people, and I know the state of that movement. But I jumped into this because, well, obviously this is my calling, and this is the more important, and it's the root of how the deception has gotten laid down. So and plus this is closest to me. I need to fight my enemy up close, right? And I didn't know that when I was fighting the general enemy through general topics like environmentalism, any ism, any identity politics. That's why I don't identify with identity politics anymore, because nobody is identifying with me, but they are. But they didn't in the beginning until I rang the bell. Stop the wheel of karma in my life that kept me always on the losing end because of the cycles that I couldn't break because I didn't see through the programming. Now, is it much better? It is, but it's not. I still get hit, like with my boomer going, and that smacks of all the esoteric weirdness that's ever followed me around in my life. So on top of what should be a good year. It was a good year for me, really. I qualified for CERB, so I took it, and I was able to accomplish a lot with that extra money and put it towards the the Survivor Summit, which was a great success, and then the Walk With Us rally to Montreal, which was also a great success, which helped put the lawsuit, kept it on the public eye in Montreal on September 19th of 2020, and brought more people forward and more help was given. So that's important. But however, like my case, the lawyers don't care about my case. I'll tell you that right now. They just care about what they can do to win with the most minimal effort. That's basically what most lawyers do. And that's what they're doing. So I've had to do what I do when things are important to me in this lawsuit, simply because I need for this vehicle to be the vehicle for at least part of the writing justification of what happened in my family. Not all of it, because like I said, they don't care about MK Ultra Girl picture. There's no way to prove that yet. But for me, I've always been pretty lucky in some ways. And one of those ways is that I do get things dropped in my lap. And that picture and the evidence that I've got, and the picture, the movie of my mom, that's clear-cut evidence. And I'm going to use it. It's just taking longer. So, the longer that people will prevail or persist in smear campaigns against me, the worse their campaigns are going to get, unless of course they're copying me, which they do, and then steal all the energy I've put towards the public media, using myself as the sacrificial lamb, so to speak, for recognition, which I've gotten because I know what I'm doing in the media way. I didn't think that I'd need to apply it this way, but I did, and it worked. But it doesn't matter. Even still, it's simply awareness. It's not it's not like success. I'm good now, right? I mean, that's not happening to any people in the way that we thought it was going to happen, right? It's all new now. I guess if you're selling surgical masks, it might be great. Really, the good thing to talk about for reality boots to ground is like food security. Like, what would you do if the lights went off and you had no water, no electricity? It's 2 weeks for most people in the city, but people in the country, a lot of them wouldn't matter too much at all. Especially people in British Columbia, they've kind of been waiting for it. This is like doomsday central here. It always has been. We got the off-grid thing going. So, yeah, some people, 2020 was a good year. I mean, I actually accomplished quite a bit. And anyway, thanks a lot, Self-Contained, for listening in. I don't know if anyone else is here, but I'm going to just jump a little bit back to the issue I want to talk about with other survivors that are going public. And I commend everybody who's going public. And I don't go say, oh, you shouldn't do it this way because that's going to hurt something. It's like, that's not true. There's no, there's no wrong way. And then why would the person saying that not apply to their own garbage information? Because most people doing this, it's all filtered in with like other survivors' testimonies, inner like vestigial memories resonating off of these testimonies, and then a lot of them apply those conclusions to their own circumstances. And fine, okay, but it's not proof and it's not evidence in a court of law, and that's a process of healing, yet it's not a badge of honor or a winning self-defining like uh, truth verification process at all. And that can invalidate people, but it doesn't have to. If you can hold with your own, being awareness, and really if you don't have it, you don't know who you are, and you're so sickened by being so betrayed your whole life that you just want to collapse in a heap and cry. And I get it. That's what my mom did, and I have been doing that a lot since Boomer's gone. um, but if you don't want to, like if you want to actually be active in life and even thrive, which of course is your right, our rights to do that, then I forgot. I lost my train. I had something great. Just trust me. I had it. But remember, this is 2D media. This is 2D, what you're watching. It's 1D, actually. And so, oh God, you see, and I get cut off a lot, and scrambled, right? And that's why when I do my interviews there with other people, I get a lot of scrambled, but I just want to get the information out. And, stream of consciousness, a lot of it too. I don't mind myself because I've been doing this my whole life. So whatever, you can love it or leave it. I personally find a lot of these entrained thinkers and talking head people to be unlistenable. I can't listen to them. Oh, can you hear that? The little boodly puppy? She's in the background. She's crying. Yeah, she wants to be part of things. Yeah. And really, look at those movie stars doing this stuff now too. They're even worse. They're terrible. They don't even have any. They're not worth listening to. Like I don't care, what they say and how they say it. Like makes my skin crawl. So authenticity is important to recognize, but in yourself, when you're looking, all you have is that sort of harpoon in the sky to God, then the long stitch basically, that is all you need. That is all you need. It really is. That's all I've used in the higher sense of things for this whole time. And I gotta say, I spent like 20 years when I came to BC in 93. It's been more than 20 years. It's been like amnesia. Like I physically cut myself from my world in Toronto, which really drew the line. But that was what enabled me to at least live a life that had a little bit more, I could enjoy more and I was freer to do more enterprising things. I just couldn't get out of Toronto. I mean, this dream of, well, self-sustainability and food security, it's still almost like just barely within my reach. And this was all part of the Alternation Foundation actual deprogramming center doing thing. But that's now going to be the Michael Atkin Trust Foundation. It's still part of what I'm doing when all the money comes through. The money I'm getting now is all going towards the film. Thank you very much. We're going to all my supporters, Ken, Carl, Adam, Jeffrey, David, Kim, thank you so much. It really means a lot to me. Michael, and everyone who has given me a voice, and poor David Zublik. 2 days after I did his interview, his channel was tanked. I know. I don't know. Like I don't think defending myself against I don't know, average perceptions. I'm not interested in that, obviously. I never have been. I go straight for the gold. And I'm doing that now. I still have all my goals. Like I said, maybe they've been reworked a little bit, or you got to keep going with the target, even if you don't see how it's going to happen. Not let that defeatism and hopelessness overtake you, which, for me, it's so easy to do. It's like really in my DNA. And you might be able to see physically how I am distorted. That's all because of the program. I can only assume these are unexplained injuries, that my neck is cocked and my eyes hurt and this is down. My father had that. Yeah, it's common. I feel like maybe that was like the extra bolts of electricity I received so that I would have extra amnesia. But it doesn't matter, because in the spirit world, and they still use you in the spirit world, and that's what I was doing when I was doing all those like erotic dreaming with movie stars and politicians, but it also was coupled with spy work. And I think that's really what it was spy work. And I have the spy training in the fourth dimensions. So, if you think about it that way, it's kind of, if I'm doing my own work, like against the cult programming on the fourth dimension, then I have to keep my results secret from myself. Right? You get that? But it doesn't negate the verification of having manifestation happen through the real God. That's how it happens. So that's the answer to why I haven't been blah blah blah, because I've never actually identified with the herd. Like I never have. I couldn't. Right? And it's been a blessing and a curse. I feel good about this. I'm just going to end it here. I'm going to include it in the, I'll leave it up for a day, and then I'll turn it into the unlisted for members only. So I'm going to advise you to suggest that you get on the list. I do have a list, mkltragirl.org, MailChimp list. You can get on my Twitter account. There's a link right under the header of that to that list. And on Patreon, you'll see everything, of course. And then, I'm just laying low, and big year, 2021. We're really going to move in on the media this year. Really are. Yeah, the documentary is going to come out, and it's going to move a lot of people, including me. Putting the timelines together for my mother and father has been great. I haven't got it to my dad, but I did for my mom. It's been great for therapy and healing, and to put in perspective, because all the information I've gotten in the last couple of years is just like, whoa, I don't know how to deal with it. So the putting it down in a timeline has been really good to, okay, then I want answers. My family will not give me answers. Her sister will just lies all the time. There's so much evidence in the documents I have that she's just such a liar that, it begs a lot of questions about the entire family. I mean, not the least being the way they've acted the whole time towards her. Like, when she tried to come there for help, they put her in a hotel for a week, and then her sister drove her to psych ward. That's the kind of help they've been giving her. Until she died, of course. And they were so relieved that they didn't have to pay her anything, and kicked my father, me, and my sister out for asking them to help them. And they have like pretty large set of holdings there, and they never ever gave her one penny in inheritance. So considering that we've all been behind the eight ball because of that, and my dad hoarded whatever he got from his pension and played the victim, that I had such poverty consciousness growing up. My mother was such a victim that it took me until I was about 40 to finally get over it. So I have gotten over it, but I'm also able to live quite simply. And since the bankruptcy in 2007, I've never gone into debt again. And that's really helped me out with stress. So all I have to deal with is just all that, deep darkness. And when you're a person like me and my family, we have learned to joke about it, which is where, the term black comedy comes in. All right, I'm going to end on that, and hopefully we can start to open up different areas of expression, and that people will feel better about putting the links together. Maybe, a word to other public survivors, especially the crazy ones. Just, there's more people on the stage than you. Okay. So, just maybe you don't understand, but give them some room because someone gave you room. Right. And even though a lot of what these survivors say is hype mixed with other stories, because of whatever reasons, maybe because they are identifying with vestigial memories, but not real memories, just feelings, then they really need to look at their own presentation. And I love the way Sally actually talks about presentations being like personalities, but more than just personalities, like actual the whole packages, like, oh, here you are over here in hi JD99. Yeah, so will there ever be help for people who are targeted individuals right now in Houston, Texas? Well, I think that asks a lot. I mean, Houston, Texas. So start there. Like, start where you are. That's what I did. I planted a flag and then I expand it. So it's not just online going, help me, help me. It's like, I did it. And I've let everyone know, professional and personal, and people can like it or leave it, and I can lose friends over it. I don't care. I've already lost 1,000 friends because of anything to do with life. It's the same, life. So start in Houston, Texas. I don't know how to tell you how to start because you're going to have to use everything you've got. There's more and more law agencies looking into it. I mean, any lawyer would take it if they thought they could win. But remember, this is the most secret program. I mean, I'm still going for releasing all the records. Stopping the program and wearing the tinfoil hat or whatever you're going to do, it's too much work for us. All we really need to do is get those records and expose them, and then turn off the electricity that's running it. That would solve the problem rather than, guessing, reverse engineering this stuff so that we can like block one dam off and then they open another one up. So the best solution is to kill the source of it. Now, then we get into a large esoteric area of discussion, and then the source would be it would be us. That would be humanity. Right? Because we're here as a mix of both sides, good and evil. And if we just don't have that playground anymore, then you're going to have to decide if you're going to be with the evil fully or the good. And that's what happens when you lose your body. There's control systems on the good side. True, weren't real friends. So there's control systems on the good. They've manipulated consciousness, including your connection to the fourth dimension and fifth and sixth and all the way up. But they can't get you when you're going higher because that's the truth. And if you want to maintain that and not lose that and go back to your first estate, which is a real being, I can only guess we're fractions of that. but I've had glimpses of it because of my dreams and my fourth dimensional adventures. Then uh, uh, you're not going to want to soul annihilate or do things that will lead you on that path, because that's the dark side. And so if we can learn that now, and I called that the separation, I saw it happening for sure a couple of years ago. It's definitely happening now. I mean, you can't just dead fish flow with the stream. I remember that from my high school or years. One of the teachers said it. So you can't just flow anymore. You really got to stand up. And I've been saying that since I stood up in 2016 with MK Ultra Grow. I was touching on the peripheral with my mother's case before, and then, like I said, involving myself in every activism, for the higher common good that I could, because I knew something was wrong, but I didn't know what. So that's about it I can say for now. I think I said a lot, and yeah, so I'm looking forward to that. I've given you the, options for getting connected with me, staying in the loop. We're going to do a lot of transformation in 2021 with strengthening my position. So ultimately, that is important. And of course, now I'm working with my sister, which is in fact fabulous. It's great because I didn't realize how important that was going to be to my healing, and also to our case. So our case is a landmark case. I'm taking it beyond the case for my parents. Obviously, it's connected, and to answer you there about the Houston, yeah, being healthy and being self-aware, not letting all that is important. But to answer that, so when I win, and as I win, it helps everybody else. Even every little baby step that I get through helps everyone else. It really does. I see the results of the, clipping off these negative timeline futures. So I can see that. I think that's part of the program. Is absolutely. I was definitely theta, definitely in the psychic program, absolutely like RVing ahead of time. I can naturally just decipher everything pretty much, which, some people think is great and other people just hate me for it. But it doesn't matter. I mean, and then of course I get flummoxed a lot. Like, I think what they did to like burn my neurocortex is was severe, that it left me with this, debility here. I used to actually get like crooked like this. I couldn't move, and then this was like, and then also my eye. It feels like they shot a beam right there in there. Same with a spot under here and my hip. So I don't know. These are unexplained injuries. It would make sense to me that these are things so that I wouldn't be able to flow cohesively, both physically, mentally, and spiritually. And it's happened, but it hasn't stopped me from getting this far. So that should give people at least a little hope and inspiration. I will help, but I think more than as much as I can. But I don't want to help and throw, my pearls at swine, which I've done my whole life. And then also even with real targets, I'm not going to say just because somebody gets, reprogrammed by their programming and then I get burnt, that they weren't worthy. They were. It's just that I wasn't able to help them because the program is so much stronger. But we could call it now. The program is the program. I didn't even know what it was. The end result is we did win. We did defeat this, but only if you want to go back to your first estate, which is love and all that, and your true beingness, whoever, whatever that is, in whatever dimension. Because we don't even know God's name, let alone the form. And if we're part of that, then we don't know our own. But there is, I don't know for sure, really. So, greetings from Germany. Hello. Yes. Oh, well. I'm just blabbing on. It's 49, 46. I'm going to say goodnight or goodbye. It's actually early afternoon here. And I can't really give you, it's always an individual program for deprogramming and staying out of the lines of attack. And it's really programmed into you the means for self-destruction rather than it is being done outside of you. Yes, there are players, but more often than not, they will be blocked themselves from taking any responsibility for what they've done for you. So it's almost hopeless to go about it that way. I just go about it on a deeply esoteric level where I'm I'm trying to stay a few steps ahead and must pay attention to your intuition. So follow the way. That's the way. It's still murky. I mean, for me, I mean, I went in. I didn't have to. I could have died. I could have even ignored this calling. But I think I would have just been a icky, like really. I was not able to talk very well. I mean, people think I can't talk well now, but it was all fake, and I never got to the point of telling people who I really was. And it seemed like there was a call for people to find out, and I have a lot of answers simply because of the life I've lived and who I am. So hopefully that'll come out in the movie and be like a viral hit, and then that will open up a lot of doors in the minds of people that are like, holy crap, yeah. And how it won't be like gang stalking, thinking that it's better to deny and point fingers than it is to start looking at personal causes, responsibilities for getting where we are and how we got here, the entire population. And so now it's localized, and that's the separation. Movie. Oh, the movie. Okay, so the movie is working title Destroyed Lives. It is about my struggle. It's about MK Ultra Girl and my family. I looked at pictures of online of MK Ultra victims, and they were pictures of my family, including myself. Yeah, it started 2013. I saw a video clip of my mother getting electroshocked by you and Cameron. And then in 2015, I saw myself as MK Ultra Girl, famous picture that's been used all over the world, still is, but I claimed it, and now it has been reworked. It's still mine, and there's still more work to do, but that's been a gift from God from me, and it's been like a time card. And then the picture looks like my dad and Joseph Mengele, which lines up with his first entry into the psychiatric system after his nervous breakdown after spending 2 weeks at St. Peter's Seminary in London, Ontario. So I just finished reading Annie Jacobson's Operation Paperclip and one of Joseph Mengele's biographies by Posner at the same time. So I was just like Mengele, but it was very helpful for me to learn that. It was like I was reading an autobiography of my father. And whatever, I called it the demon, but now I think it was actually just Mengele's consciousness. And my father, like, because he was all like attached to the church, and this is how in Quebec and Ontario, it was the Jesuits and the Catholic Church were well aware of Mengele, and they were his rat line. The evidence would point towards it, So not just me, Silvio Day saw him. Lots of survivors have seen him all over North America, but definitely he's been seen in Quebec, and that's where my dad was. And we were in Ontario, but he spoke French, and I was born in Quebec. Like, how did my dad's first job at the military college? We weren't a military family. Anyway, he was as much a thorn in their side as he was like a helpless mind control slave. Yeah, weapons. Yeah. So anyway, yeah, learning about him, even though much of it is fictionalized in Posner's book, and I find a lot of survivors do that in their own understanding of other survivors, even in their own stories. And, well, he must have done this, must have felt that. Well, how do you know, right? There's no proof for that, but they don't give themselves the same harsh criteria they demand of others because that's just the way people are. Oh, well, that's called mind control. That's called culture. If you don't know, you don't know. And it's really part of being a real compassionate person in the here and now to listen and understand people. And hopefully the medical model will start to acknowledge that. But it's going to be an ugly war. Now, I think we've, civilly, with all these systems, fully coming at us. And, think about it. If this is the New World Order's, attack plan, I mean, it's kind of laughable, really. Like, this is the coming of the beast, like, strategy. This is it. It's like, oh my God, like Klaus Schwab, like, give me a break. I guess they just can't see how utterly ridiculous they are. But it's up to us to tell them. And it's not just on my shoulders anymore, and other survivors that have been on the front lines for fighting this esoterically, honestly. That's the way I felt. Happy New Year, Caroline. It's nice to see people show up and chat. I know other people do this stuff, and I don't do that too much, but I'm amazed I've gone 56 minutes, because this is kind of even better than interviewing. Pensacola. Yeah, I've never been there. Never been to Florida at all. So I think I'm just going to say Happy New Year. Sign it off. Wrap it up. Follow me. I really have one of the best cases, really. I've also been very public, and I've been on David Knight. I've been on a lot of alt media shows, and you can see is that this is as far as you get, and that's all you get. And now everyone's brought low from COVID, so that even the movie stars have to do this type of stuff, and they're crap at it. Just anyway, whatever. Just have to laugh. But I still want to do good quality artistic work, and that's coming with the movie and my book. Hopefully, get that out, and of course the lawsuit, because healing is most important. But like I said, I can't ignore the boots to ground stuff, because although it's I'm relatively secure, there's it could all go in a month or 60 days. It could all be gone. So I'm working towards food security, business, delivery. That's another thing, like just get in there. And it's like, one of the things that's best to do to confront the cult or the establishment is just get in their face. They don't know how to react. And then like start a business, because business is what saved me, because people didn't. People in business, doing business, helped me. But honestly, I didn't get help from the friends, other than whatever they could in a small way, but it wasn't enough to, rise my status as, poor cast off of, Illuminati training reject. Okay, so thank you so much, everybody. Happy New Year 2021. We can have a great year. Anyone can have a great year. And there's opportunities in this cracking open of the egg, because it's really all spreading all over now. Lots of opportunities. You can definitely ask me personal questions any sort of way you can. that I don't like writing things out because it's like work for me, and I've got so much of that to do that I'd like to get a return on. I do consider the donations the return, thank you, and it is the same really as income. And the income will eventually be under the umbrella of the foundation trust, and we're moving towards it. Of course, getting a settlement would help a lot, but everything I do helps all targets. Believe me, it does. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. Prayers all around at night. They go out. Thank you for praying for me. I pray for you all. Bye. I hope I don't do any inadvertent like cult signaling here. Gotta make some laughs about it. Okay, bye.